Okay, so you want to dress differently from any other man. You want your wardrobe to be filled of brands that not many people know about. Well, you're in the right place. I've got you. I will share today 8 different brands that in my perspective I slept on, and watch till the end because I believe that the last brand is honestly slept upon, and it's the sweetest deal between price and quality you get. Before I actually go into these different brands, I feel like we need to understand one thing. We need to understand that clothing are not just fabric. It's an expression and extension of who you are. Basically, people choose whether to respect you, trust you, or even whether if they want to get to know you based on purely the way you look. It might sound unfair, but if we think about it, even on the other way around, when you see girls that look like this, or like this, or even girls that look like this, automatically you have a subconscious reaction, an impression of who this person is, even before they actually start talking. And that's the power of clothing. So don't look at it as I'm just buying another piece of clothes or material or suits or whatever. No, it's an extension of who you are, and what you choose to wear speaks volume of who you are. So let's dive deep into this. The first brand I think many men are sleeping upon is Moss Bros. Now, Moss Bros is it's a global brand, but I feel like it's a much better option compared to Zara or H&M, because you have that timeless design combined with the opportunity to actually build a whole wardrobe that is elegant and again timeless. Now, the only downside I have with Moss Bros is that the relationship between what you pay and the quality of materials you get don't always match. And again, by the way, none of these brands are sponsored. It's purely just my personal experience and insight. But what you get with Moss Bros is the fact of having a piece of clothing that have a timeless design. And I feel like with brands in the high street, you don't get that as often. Moss Bros, honestly, is one of the shops that have the best timeless design I've seen that is quite accessible. Now, number two I would say is Charles Tyrwhitt. I believe I pronounced it right, but I might be wrong. Now, Charles Tyrwhitt is also an international brand, but I've got to know them through shirts. However, I've come to realize that they have an extensive amount of items in their catalogs. And what I love about Charles Tyrwhitt is the quality. I love how what you pay reflects what you get, and the fact that you actually have the chance to have very, very good materials at a very accessible price, in my opinion. It's obviously not H&M price. However, the quality, the timeless design, the elegant cuts, I think it's totally justified, and it's one of, in my opinion, one of the most respected brands out there. And I feel like, especially with men of my age, they might not be as familiar with Charles Tyrwhitt because it might be more appealing to an older audience. But I think, yeah, some young guys are really sleeping upon this, and they should really, really get into Charles Tyrwhitt. I think they should sponsor me. And the third is Reiss. Honestly, I love Reiss. I love the design, the quite luxury appeal to it. And the thing is, it's not luxury, it's still somehow affordable, and accessible as well. But it's very nice, and the cuts are very nice, the designs are very nice, and the materials as well are spot on. Now here, the downside is that you pay slightly more compared to obviously the first two I've just mentioned. However, the designs and the quality, it's spot on. So if you want to obviously have a little bit more insight on how to create a quite luxury aesthetic that, you know, have great balance and still modern, then I think Reiss is a very, very good place to go to. Now the fourth one might come with a surprise, because the fourth one, I think it's Uniqlo. I feel like, now hear me out, Uniqlo is an international brand as well, but I think for basic pieces, Uniqlo should be your go-to place, especially for winter, you know, those base layers or those, you know, very casual wear. I think Uniqlo is literally the go-to place, and not many people are taking advantage of this brand. And I've come to know them a couple years ago when we were living in London, and honestly, it's great, especially for basics. I would say if you need basic pieces, Uniqlo is your best friend. Now let's go a little bit more into Europe. The sixth brand I think people are sleeping upon, but I feel like it's becoming more of a thing, and they're establishing themselves a lot more than the previous years, and that brand is Pini Parma. If you're not aware of Pini Parma, it's basically an Italian made brand, and they make everything Italian basically. And if you're into old money aesthetic, or you like very, very good quality and excellent designs, then yes, Pini Parma is literally the go-to place. You have the opportunity to wear something that has great materials, natural materials. It comes with a slightly higher price. However, the designs and the quality of materials in them is just perfect. I feel like Pini Parma should be one of those brands you want to explore once you have once your wardrobe is a bit more established, and perhaps you want, you know, a few statement pieces, or to just explore and try different things. Because again, a British cut and Italian cuts are totally different, and I'm referring to blazers, for example. Yeah, so it's one of those brands that are spot on, but perhaps you should try them once you have a more established wardrobe. And this gets me to the last two, and I feel like these two are the most exciting ones. Now, the seventh one is Massimo Dutti. Honestly, Massimo Dutti, I've only got to it literally this year. I think one of the reasons was because I always had the perception that Massimo Dutti was a very high-end brand and not as accessible. But obviously, the more I got into this journey, I actually started testing things and really exploring things and seeing what brands really produce the best quality and what are the different price tags. Then literally I discovered Massimo Dutti, and I think it's a very, very, very good starting point as well, especially if you are at the beginning-ish of your journey, or if you want to rebuild a wardrobe, then Massimo Dutti is a very good point, a very good go-to place. Now with Massimo Dutti, you have the opportunity to have a good brand, a good name with good materials, and the price is very reasonable. And what I love about Massimo Dutti is the different designs they have, and unlike Zara or H&M, sometimes they are very propaganda-ish. And yeah, they really push certain designs that breach certain spectrums. And I like, actually, now that I think about it, all these brands I've mentioned, they have the classic kind of values, and they really maintain that manlyhood, let's say. So yes, I really, if you're into that as well, then yes, these brands really kind of maintain that perspective, and they don't really try to bridge or insert too feminine items into a men's wardrobe. So yeah, that is something I do actually appreciate. The last one is the most exciting one, and I've discovered this brand a couple years ago in Italy, and that brand is Doppelganger. Now, hear me out. Doppelganger it's an interesting mixture, and I feel like it's the win out of all of this. Why? Because it's the type of brand where you have access to great materials at a very accessible price, and you also have the opportunity to have less good materials at still a very accessible price, but with very nice and timeless designs. So Doppelganger, in my opinion, is literally the win out of all of these. And yes, unfortunately, they do not ship in UK. I am not too sure whether they ship in the US either. However, I know all over Europe, they do ship all over Europe. And yes, the quality of the items, the timeless design, and the great quality is literally something else. And I love the fact that they still made this accessible. For example, what I am actually wearing today is a whole unstructured suit, and it's a linen suit, and I got this I think a couple of times ago, and it was at a very great deal. Now, they are not sponsoring me to obviously talk about them. If they want to, they should. But honestly, I feel like I should build my whole wardrobe with this brand, because the price tag is very reasonable, and the quality of material, it's there. It's honestly there. You have absolutely everything you need. And it also gives the opportunity to, obviously, men who wants to embrace a timeless design, a timeless cut, whether it's with suits or whether it's with the rest of your wardrobe, you can still do that. And you have the opportunity to obviously have access to less natural materials, which I am not a strong advocate of, but you do have access to that, and it's at a very accessible price too. So yeah, it's honestly the win. So yes, I hope this was helpful. If you want to build a great capsule wardrobe, then consider watching this video next, because I break down in details how you should build your wardrobe based on your body type, based on your color scheme, and everything. It's in there. So it's not just about the different brands you should shop at, but I literally go more in details in that video. That's it for me today, and I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, leave a like or a comment in the section below, and let's have a conversation, whether you actually agree with me with these brands, or if you have other brands you think people should know about, then leave a comment below and let's have a conversation and help each other out. And that's it really. See you on the next one. See.